This video is part 3 to wholesaling real estate for beginners, and we'll go over how to analyze a deal. So in order to even determine if a deal is a good deal or not, you need to know how much the property is worth. This comes down to your location. There are certain states in the United States that are disclosure states and some are non-disclosure states. What this means is, in a disclosure state, the sales price of a property is public information and anyone can see it. In a non-disclosure state, the sales price of a property is private and it's not available for the public to see. The 12 states that are non-disclosure states are Texas, Alaska, Idaho, Kansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Louisiana, Wyoming, Utah, North Dakota, New Mexico, and Montana. If you're investing in any of those 12 states, your first priority is to network with realtors or become a realtor yourself so you can gain access to the MLS. The MLS is called the Multiple Listing Services. That's where licensed realtors can post properties for sale and licensed realtors can see what other properties have sold for. Having MLS access is the only way in a non-disclosure state for you to check sales prices of similar properties in order to evaluate the value of your property. The best way to do this if you don't want to get your real estate license is to network with other realtors. Now, the realtors you want to target are newer realtors that recently got their license. They tend to be hungrier to work harder to get more deals as they are new. Most new realtors start out as buyer's agents. What that means is they try to help people find a home to purchase. However, most agents want to be listing agents or seller agents. This is a lot easier as all you do is list a property for sale and let the buyers come to you. So most people want that role instead of a buyer's agent, and they can also build up their portfolio of houses they've listed and sold, and that gives them more credibility. Essentially, it's a lot less work to be a seller's agent and they still make the same amount of commissions. However, most realtors don't know how to generate their own leads and find listings. This is where you can come in and provide value. You can help create a win-win situation for both yourself and the agent. So how I would pitch it to an agent is, I would say, hey, I'm a local real estate investor and I plan on scaling up my marketing in the near future. I'll be getting a lot of leads and I know most of them won't meet my criteria as an investor to buy. However, they could be asking a very reasonable price that should sell relatively quickly on the market. If you can partner with me and provide me your MLS access, I can refer you all these leads I get that don't fit my criteria that can be great listings for you. This will help you make more money, help you build up your portfolio, and if you give me access to your MLS, I don't have to bug you every hour on running comps for me. I can run comps on myself. And how this can also benefit the buyer's agent is you can pre-qualify leads for them so they're all warm leads. Let them know that. Tell them, hey, instead of wasting your time running comps to see if a seller that wants to sell is gonna be a good listing or not, I do all that work up front as I filter out deals for my own criteria. So I'll send you warm leads that I've already ran comps on that I know should sell quickly on the market. And if you pitch it the right way, a newer realtor is not gonna turn that offer down because it helps them tremendously and it'll benefit you as an investor as well. So back on determining how much a property is worth, what you have to do is look at sales comparables. What that means is you look at comparable homes that recently sold in the same area as your subject property that you're analyzing. So there's different criteria, but how I like to run my comps is this. The first criteria I like to use when running comps is square footage. I like to compare to properties with similar square footage that has sold recently. So how this works is, if the subject property that I got from a lead for my marketing is a house that is 1,500 square feet, I like to go plus or minus 150 square foot above and below that amount. So on the MLS, when I'm filtering for the sold properties, I'll put a range on the square footage from 1,350 square feet to 1,650 square foot. What this does is any properties within that range will show up on my search results, and those properties will all be within 150 square foot of my subject house of 1,500 square feet. The next criteria I look at when running comps is the age of the property. I like to compare houses that are built within 10 years of the same age as my subject property. So for example, if the house I'm analyzing was built in 2000, I'll make my age range for homes built between 1990 and 2010. This way I'm not looking at houses built in the 1950s or new construction homes built in 2018, 2020, because those aren't accurate comparisons to the house I'm looking at. My next criteria is location. I like to start out with the zip code and go on the map view and then zoom in to the exact neighborhood the house is in. The reason I do this is I don't like to cross any major streets or highways. So in the same zip code, you could have a highway running through it or a major street that divides it up. And a lot of times what happens is one side of that highway might be a more desirable area and the other side of the highway might be a worse neighborhood, but it's all the same zip code. And those two things can drastically change the value of a house if it's on one side or the other of the highway. Another thing is I don't like crossing major streets because a lot of times cities and counties use major streets and highways to put out boundaries for stuff such as school districts. So you can be in the same zip code in the same city, but one side of a major street might be zoned to a less desirable school and the other side of the street might be zoned to a much more desirable school district. And this can drastically affect values as home buyers want to buy and pay more for a home in a good school district. The last thing to keep note of is just if the house is on a major street or not. If it's on an actual major street and goes right up against it, you have to make it a lower value than other comps because it's a lot less desirable. Don't worry if you struggle on running comps at first. It's more of an art and it's not an exact science. Because at the end of the day, the value of a home is how much someone will pay for it. Someone might like a design of a home more than another buyer, and they could pay more for it. So it's not an exact number or an exact reasoning. You have to look at the overall statistics to see how valuable a house might be. But with enough practice, you'll start to feel comfortable, but it could take a year or 2 years to really hone down those skills on running comps. For disclosure states where it's public information, you should be able to see recently sold values on Zillow or Redfin. Now, if you're in a non-disclosure state, you need to get MLS access to be able to see these sales comps. If this has been helpful to you so far, please like the video and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below if you have any further questions. So once you figure out what a property is worth, the next thing you have to figure out is how much will it cost to renovate the property to that level for it to sell at that price that it's worth. This is a very tough subject because even in the same market, rehab costs can vary drastically. For example, a house might cost me $70,000 to do a full gut HGTV rehab, but for a new investor or for someone else that doesn't speak Spanish maybe, it might cost them $90,000 for the same rehab. As you can see, rehab costs really depend on your connections with your contractors. Someone like me who has contractors that work for me for multiple years give me better pricing than a new investor, but don't let that set you back. The best way to move forward is just to take action. Here's what I recommend you do to start learning the rehab costs of properties in your market. First thing I would do is to look up 3 contractors in your area. Reach out to them and let them know you're a real estate investor and you plan to have a long-term relationship and do a lot of flips over the upcoming years. Next, go on Zillow or the MLS and look up fixer-upper homes. Look for homes that need renovation work that are being sold as is. Then contact the listing agent and ask if you can schedule an appointment to walk the property and that you're an interested buyer and investor in the area. What you'll then do is reach out to those 3 contractors that you've gotten their info and tell them to meet you at the property on the day of the walkthrough. Have them walk through the property with you and ask them questions on what needs to be done to get it up to a renovated level. Then ask for them to send you a bid, a line item bid for each item that you're gonna fix over to you. What this does is you'll start to understand how much it costs more or less to renovate a property. Look at several different homes. Look at homes that just need a cosmetic update and look at homes that need a full gut renovation. That way you can learn how much each thing costs in a ballpark range after you practice enough. For example, after you walk maybe 5 or 6 homes with 3 or 4 different contractors, you'll start getting a ballpark range. Okay, a brand new kitchen remodel will cost me anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000. Or a brand new bathroom remodel will be anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000. You'll start getting ballpark ideas and ballpark numbers on each renovation cost so that when you start analyzing your deals, you'll be able to more accurately put in a total number for the rehab cost. This is, in my opinion, the best and lowest risk way to learn about rehab costs. I wish I did this when I started. How I started was I just bought a full gut rehab and started getting contractors, and I learned the prices after I bought the home. I don't recommend you do that. You could lose money doing that. So I learned from my mistakes, and now I recommend to others is to do this method I just explained in order to learn the rehab costs in a safe way. Once you know what a house is worth and how much it will cost to renovate it, it's very simple to come up with the offer price. So the equation is your offer price is equal to the after repair value of the home, or the ARV, minus the renovation costs, minus the amount of profit you want to make. So if a house is worth $300,000 and the renovation will cost $50,000 and you want to make $50,000, then what I would offer is at most $200,000, because 300 minus 50 is 200. However, I would actually start even lower than that. I would start at like $160,000 or $170,000, just so you have some wiggle room to negotiate up with the seller. Or best case, they take your first offer and you can make even more profits. Honestly, it just takes some practice to get comfortable. So just keep practicing these skills. Once you practice enough on how to run comps, how to look at rehab costs, you'll be more confident in making an offer to sellers. So that wraps up how you can start analyzing deals. For the next video in the series, click here and we'll talk about how to actually execute a contract with a seller once they accept an offer.